So the 11th question in Leet code is to is container with the most water. So basically, what it, for example, let's assume there are two blocks. Okay. Let's say that if you pour water inside it, it will store, right? Let's say that it's a beaker, something like a beaker. If you pour water, it will store, right? Like we need to identify what is the maximum water that it can hold. So for example, here we have different lengths, correct? Let's say that if I pick this and this, if I pour water, it will store only till this point, right? It won't be like whatever that it comes after it will be overflowed, correct? So that is the imagination here. And so basically, like what we need to return is we'll have to pick the two poles such that it will fill up the most of the water. Okay, so for example, looking at this image, right? Like for example, let's say that if I assume this, let's assume these two, okay, because these are the two maximum heights, right? If I assume these two would store the maximum values, maximum water. So let's check. Okay, now what is the calculation, right? Like this nothing but a rectangle, right? Nothing but length into breadth, correct? So let's say that if you are picking this and this, what is the height for this? Height is 8. Okay, we'll be given the list of heights basically, and it will be in this format. Okay, 0 1 2 3, maybe, yeah, there is an index one. Okay, so this is the height. And what are we doing here? If you want to find the area, like I mean maximum capacity it can store is 8 minus 8, whatever the index this is, right? What is this? 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? 6 minus 1 is 5. So 5 into 8 is 40, right? It can store the maximum of 40 49. 49 is like a kind of unit, right? So that is a maximum amount of unit, maximum amount of water that it can store. Okay, now we need to try out the combinations such that we'll have to find out the maximum storage, like maximum storage or maximum amount of water. Like we'll have to pick the two blocks. Okay, so similarly when we try right, like when we do the calculation for these two, we got a 40. Now let's try for these two. Okay, let's say what is this index is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is 8. Okay, this is the eighth one, and this is the first one. So 0 1, right? So 8 minus 1 is nothing but 7. 7 is the length here, that is the breadth. Okay, and length would be like minimum of these two, because let's say that when we pour the water, right, the water can be filled only till here, correct? Because there is no there is nothing that to hold the water here, right? So what we'll have to do is, when doing the calculation, we'll have to find the minimum of these two, right? So let's say that I cannot take this because the water will be overflowed, right? We cannot, that will be the not the proper calculation. So we'll have to find the minimum of the height. So what is the height for this height for this is 7, right? 7 minus, and what was the x-axis or the breadth, that is also 7. 7 into 7 is 49. That is the answer actually. And when we picked the two maximum one, right, we got only 40 because it is too close, right? We need to make sure that we get a maximum storage or maximum amount of water. That is the thing here, like that is the problem about, we'll have to find out the two pillars that can hold the maximum water. Okay, so now coming to the solution, right? So we can, one thing we can do is we can do the brute force, correct? Like I can try all the combination to use the full with the two for loop. Like it will be like of n square time complexity, like we'll have to compare to, let's say that let's say I will pick first, I will pick these two and I will do the calculation. Minimum of height of these two, this will be 1, and what is the distance between this one? 1 into 1 is 1. It can store only 1 between these two pillars, correct? Similarly, I will have to do all the combination that will result in O of n square complexity. Okay, so instead what we can do is, we can use a two pointer method. Okay, so what does it, it will help us in, let's say that we'll set a pointer here. Okay, one in the beginning and one in the end, correct? So now let's say that we'll do a calculation. Okay, now if you do the calculation, 8 is the maximum, right? 8 minus 0 is 8. Like the breadth is 8. Okay, and the length is only 1. So how much it can store now? It is only 8. 8 into 1 is 8. Okay, so now let's say that we already have some big pillar here, right? It would be good, even the left pillar is also big one, correct? So what we'll do now is, we'll have to, based on that, like I mean, if I want to get a maximum storage, this should be good, right? Like I mean, comparative to this is lower. So let's try to find the newer one. So what we will do is, if the height of the left pillar is less than the height of the right pillar, we'll increment the pointer of left one. So we'll come here. Okay, and we will be here. Okay, now we'll be here, our right pointer will be still pointing to this. Now again we'll do the calculation, and now what will happen is, after we discuss, as just we discussed, right, the total calculation will be 49. We already did a calculation for this before, right? So the calculation will be 49, which is greater than 1 which we initially had, right? So whichever, what, like, I mean, as we, at the end we need a maximum water, right? So we'll have to compare, like, we'll just do the maximum, whichever is the maximum, store it. Okay, now what will happen, we'll have to again check. Currently we have, this is the maximum, but we don't know if it is a maximum, right? So what is the next step is, the left one is higher, right one is lower now, correct? So let's say that even if we get some more height, right, like, I mean, let's say that this is at 7, right, 7 units. Let's say that if it was 8 units, we could store more waters, right? So what we'll do is, now let's try to find if there is any other pillar which is greater than this height, and also will cross the will exceed this maximum storage. Okay, so now what we'll do, let's compare again. Is it left height less than the right height? No, right, because this is lesser. So what we'll have to do is, we'll move this pointer now. Currently the pointer is here and here, so we'll move the pointer to this. Okay, now we are here, we'll do the same calculation and again and again until left pointer crosses the right point. That's it, that is it about, like, the only logic we need to understand here is, we'll be using that to avoid the time complexity, to reduce the time complexity, we can use the two pointer method here. That is one thing. And the second thing is, like, wherever we'll do the calculation, right, we'll do the once we do the calculation, to get the next value, what we need to do is, like, basically we'll left pointer will move towards center, and the right pointer will move towards the center, right? So we'll have to do the calculation such that, to get the maximum amount of storage. So the only assumption here is, only thing here is, let's say that whenever we do the calculation, if the left one, let's say that left one is smaller, right one is bigger, correct? If the left one is also bigger, if we can get the left one also bigger, we'll get a maximum storage. That is the one thing that we need to understand here. So we'll increment that respective pointer. Let's say if the right one is lower, we'll decrement that pointer. If the left one is if the left one is lower, we'll be incrementing the pointer. That's what we'll be doing here. Let Until we have set the initialize the pointers, left to 0 and right to the length minus 1, and initially we will assume that maximum would be 0. There is chances, right, if all the heights can, if the all height goes as 0, at the end we'll be getting 0 only, right? So let's say that maximum water will be 0. Okay, so now we will be starting the pointer here, and here we will be doing it, we'll be iterating through it until left crosses the right. Right, left will be, let's say that at some point in time, right would become this, left would become this. Like, at that time of, we'll have to stop it, we'll have to stop our iteration. Okay, and this is about calculation, and we'll be maximizing, and this is how handle the point. Thank you.